But to get back to brass tacks here, we're talking about energy, we're talking about buses or public transport, where we're talking about our trains, we're talking about, I'm a former postie, we're talking about the Royal Mail, talking about my fellow CW comrades in British Telecom. These are all assets that were built by the public, built by the state and built by their workers. These are all assets that are being ripped off from you and I right now. There are people at the top of BT getting a 32% pay rise. There are people at the top of Royal Mail getting exorbitant wage packets as well. These are assets that we owned. Similarly, when we look at the buses, similarly when we look at the trains, the profiteering, there's 15 different companies taking 15 different cuts in our railways through the different layers. It's absolutely appalling. Now, there has to come a point where we say we're not willing to accept this anymore, folks. Enough is enough. And my General Secretary in the CW, Dave Ward, is saying precisely that. I mean, people are talking about a general strike. I think we're serious. We need to get serious about that. Enough is enough. We cannot tolerate this nonsense anymore. And by the way, the Scottish Power headquarters, I was pointing out to my friend the other day there, who's too young to remember this, but some of the older ones amongst you might remember. Do any of you remember something called the British National Oil Corporation? No. Its headquarters, where Santander now is, in Glasgow city centre. That was a lovely Swiss building that was built at the end of the 70s to house the British National Oil Corporation. That was state-owned. That was built there to demonstrate, and built quite lavishly, has to be said, to demonstrate the wealth that would be coming our way if that had remained in state hands. And the fantastic negotiations that took place back in the day to guarantee a huge cut of that pie was sold off for a song. And the people that worked in that building were sacked in the mid-80s and thrown in the scrap heap as a result. We used to own BP, that company that made billions last week. We owned that. Remember that. We built that company. All of us did. And it's time we started bringing them back. When we hear Centrica making billions as well, we owned it. We can own it again. We built these assets. We deserve them. We need them. They are essential to life in our land. And the essentials of life should not be left to the vagaries of the market. Everybody is affected by this. Everybody is going to be hurting in the months ahead. We are not going to tolerate this anymore. And I would say one last thing. When people tell you that a few people gathered outside a building, a protest doesn't matter, it's power that matters. Well, I'll tell you what, protest can generate power. People coming together generates power. And there's umpteen examples where working people coming together have changed the direction of this country and changed policy over and over again. And we can do it again. Whether you go back to the days of the rent strikes in Mary Barber, people without the right to vote changed the law of the land, and that law supported people for decades to come. It'd be nice to see the rent freezes back, or the rent controls back, and I'm hoping to see them soon. But the point is, we can do it. And when we look at some of our friends, I was a wee bit too young. I only get dragged along in the protest rallies for this, I'm afraid. I was only about 10 or something, maybe a bit older. In terms of poll tax, what happened there? People said it couldn't be done. It's a law. You have to pay your bills. That's it. People got organised across the land. They changed the law. They scrapped the poll tax, and they binned a disastrous Prime Minister in the process. Do you know what? We need to be doing the same again. It doesn't matter who wins the Tory leadership contest in a few weeks' time. It doesn't matter who it is. They're a pair of clowns, but they're determined to attack working people. They are in a race, absolute race to the bottom. They're going to try and wrestle our rights from our hands to take what we have actually spent decades building, what's left of it, to take it from us. We must stand firm, stand together, and be determined they will take no more. And we will take the fight right to their doors, and we will win. Thank you.